I've accidentally started a series on affordable lenses for Fujifilm. I've talked about the 35mm and I talked about the 27mm from TTArtisan. Today I want to focus on the 56mm from TTArtisan and kind of close the chapter of affordable lenses for now. I decided to give this lens a proper go here in the Lake District and see how it fits in a travel kit. As usual, I'm not going to go too technical and I'm just going to be showing you some photos and my honest opinions. Before getting into the video, I just want to say this isn't the type of lens I trust on a corporate shoot where I need a digital clean look. But as someone that shoots both digital and film and does a lot of travel and lifestyle work, I like sometimes to experiment with a lens that has some quirks and a bit of character. Over the past couple of years, I've really enjoyed shooting with my Mamiya B6-7 and its 127mm lens. It gives such a beautiful compressed look that I absolutely love. But since I'm traveling for the next few months, I couldn't really bring that beast of a camera with me. I tend to go through phases where I alternate between digital and film, and right now I'm really enjoying shooting digital. So I figured a shorter telephoto could be a good alternative for my Fujifilm camera. Something that still gives me the tighter perspective, but it's a much smaller and more travel-friendly setup. I've had this lens for a while now, before I started posting videos on YouTube, but for some reason I never found myself reaching for it much. Which is a bit odd considering that my most used lens is the 16-55mm from Fuji, and I find myself reaching out for the 55 and most of the time. I think the main reason is that I never really needed a smaller kit until now, so compact gear was something that I never really prioritized before. But that's definitely changed, and keeping things light has started to matter a lot more. We are in the gardens of Levens Hall, which is a stately home here in the Lake District. I really want to lean into the quirks of the lens and create something dreamlike. I've been watching a lot of period dramas recently, so I'm so chasing that fairy tale vibe. So obviously the lighting is quite harsh at the moment, so I'm trying to focus on shadows and use light as the subject. So on the house at the moment you can see there is some sort of lighting on those plants that are on the house, so I'm just sort of focusing on that. At first I was a bit worried because with this sort of cheaper lenses usually you see a lot of flare, but so far I'm actually quite happy with the flaring. It's quite sort of soft, it gives almost like a haze look, which I quite like. And I think the lens hood is actually doing a good job of sort of helping this. It's quite like a tight, but I couldn't see any vignetting caused by the tightness of the lens hood. Obviously with travel photography is a waiting game, so you need to have a lot of patience and sometimes wait until the weather changes. Here in the lakes the weather is changing quite a lot, so we can hope for some shadows and a bit more cloudy weather, and we'll be able to take some better pictures, I think, that can match the sort of vibe I was going for. So we had a change of location. We're in Rydal Water at the moment, and I realized I haven't talked about the build of the lens. Also, just for reference, I'm shooting on an X-H2. The lens is quite nicely built. It's not far different from the 35mm from TTArtisan. It's still a metal build. It's not as heavy as the Fujifilm native lens in metal. It's also not as luxurious and fancy as those Fujifilm lenses, but I guess like it's good for the weight wise. I think it's definitely like a compact and it's easier to carry in a travel kit. So actually I forgot to say that there is no aperture ring of this lens, which is kind of expected since it's a quite an affordable lens. I personally don't mind because I got used to change settings with the front and the back wheel and actually find it way more efficient. But I know that some people, when they choose Fujifilm, they also choose it for the analog experience. So I guess it's just like up to your personal taste, if that's a thing that you like or not. Once I was home editing the photos, I was quite happy and surprised with the image quality, and I almost wished that there were more imperfections. This lens is definitely a step up from a 27mm and a 35mm from TTArtisan, and I can't tell you why is that. I'm not an engineer and this is not a technical review, but my guess is that this is the newest lens of the range, so that must have something to do with it. In terms of vignetting, which I'm not a big fan of, it's barely noticeable at 1.8 and completely disappears as you stop down. Bokeh is not usually an artistic choice I go for, but I wanted to show you how nice it is with this lens. It doesn't have that fake iPhone portrait mode vibe, and it actually feels natural and pleasing. In terms of layering, I was again surprised. Nothing too wild, and I actually like that it leaned more hazy rather than streaky. There is some purple fringing, but to be completely honest, that happens with Fujifilm lenses too, and it's something that can be easily fixed in post. No one asked, but in case you were wondering, I edited all my images with Capture One, and I find it handles Fujifilm RAW files better than Lightroom from my experience. I also use my own film-inspired presets as a starting point in my edits. You can find the link below. We're so lucky now that there are so many affordable options when it comes to Fujifilm lenses. Obviously, we can't expect the same results in terms of vignetting, color rendering, bokeh effect from affordable lenses, and that's fine. But for the price, some of them come surprisingly close, and if you know how to work with your gear, you can still get beautiful results. I don't know about you, but I've noticed a clear trend when it comes to movies, commercials, and even music videos. There is a clear return to the analog, imperfect look. One of the first movies that I can think of is La Chimera by Lightroom Capture One, where 16mm film was used in certain scenes to create a textured, imperfect, dreamlike quality, perfectly reflecting the main character's state of being trapped between the earthly world and the afterlife. I saw this taken to an extreme in The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson and Gia Coppola directed. The image is rough, I think on purpose, but it contributes so much to the film's themes: decay, the fading of glamour, and the raw reality of the protagonist's life. It almost feels like a documentary at times. Sometimes 35mm is used in period dramas to match the style of the times. I can think of recent movies like Queer and Nosferatu, which are great movies, by the way, you should watch them. And because I watch so many movies and I like to do deep dives into how movies are made, I think that's something I've been drawn to in my own work. Whether I'm adapting old lenses or choosing affordable glass with a bit of character, there is something special about the imperfections. They add mood, texture, and personality. It's not always about technical perfection. Sometimes it's about creating a feeling. And that's why I wanted to see how this TTArtisan 56mm could fit into my travel kit. Not just in terms of size or budget, but also in how it contributes to the look I'm going for. Anyway, back to the lens. It actually surpassed my expectations. I was expecting way more quirks. It's sharp, especially in the center, and even in the edges it's not doing too bad. The autofocus is good, maybe sometimes a bit loud, so if you're doing video, that's something to keep in mind, I guess. And in terms of vignetting and bokeh, I think it performs better than the 27mm and the 35mm. There is a design flaw that they could have fixed very easily. I really wish you could use the lens filter and the lens hood at the same time, but that's not possible. I think 56mm is a great focal length and I really had fun shooting with it. But if I had to narrow it down to just 2 or 3 lenses, I don't think a 56mm prime will make the cut. And that's because I already have the 16-55mm 2.8, so that focal length is pretty much covered, and I don't really need to shoot wide open, so bokeh is not really a stylistic choice of mine. If I didn't have this zoom lens, I'd probably invest in a few good prime lenses. Maybe the 56mm from Fuji, that is also weather resistant, because the one from TTArtisan is not. I'd probably also invest in maybe like a 35mm, the 33mm that just came out a couple of years ago. The light sounds very good. And maybe even a 23mm or 27mm as well. And why not also the 90mm from Fuji, that's actually quite an intriguing lens. In my opinion, this lens is for the person that still hasn't figured out what type of focal length they like and what matches their style. For the price, it's a great piece of kit, especially if you're just starting out or you're not sure if you want to commit to a more expensive lens. But if you're after something super reliable, sharp at every aperture and with perfect color rendering, maybe it might be worth investing a tiny bit more. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching this video. As usual, please leave a like, subscribe, because it really helps my small channel. And if you want to hear from me more often, I have a newsletter linked down below. And yeah, I'll see you next week.